STEM, STEAM, Make, Dream, you
My
talk
favorite.
about it's so good. It's so
Thank
good.
you.
You talk about the disconnect between classroom STEM and what STEM really is. You say the connecting of the young person to the discipline is the chief responsibility of the educator. The process requires decolonizing, decontextualizing, and then recontextualizing the subject to involve students' unique experiences and backgrounds. Can you elaborate more for us?
Decontextualize, then contextualize, right? Extract out all the things that have been associated with these disciplines, with STEM disciplines, right? Like for the best and brightest, you know, only if your parents went to college, only if you do well on the first assessments in the beginning of the year, only if you do, like, just take all that stuff away. Those things have nothing to do with your knowledge, your gift, your ability, your perception, or your capability. Nothing. Those are all social constructs. And when you take all the social constructs away, you start realizing that all you have is just a cool thing to learn. And then after you decontextualize, you recontextualize based on where young folks are. So what you into? Oh, you like ball? Oh, you like dance? You like doing hair? Well, let me show you how what you love to do is already being done in STEM, in math, in science already. So you decontextualize to take away all the negativity associated. You recontextualize to embed the disciplines in people's core identity. People who think that a thing is their thing, even if they engage in struggle, will go through the struggle because they believe it's their thing. Does that make sense? Like, I'll say, for example, like, you know, I've had young people who's like, yo, like my dad plays basketball. He always plays basketball. And when I went on to play ball for the first time, I was like, ooh, I'm not good at this. But like, that's my dad. And my grandpa did too. Because of that, it must be in me. Then those folks, those young people put in extra work on a basketball court. So they're good enough, so they're competent enough because they believe it's a part of who they are. Well, my work says, well, why can't you make young folks believe the truth that they are science and math? So in STEM, STEAM, Make, Dream, you know, I try to introduce as many people as possible. I talk about little Miss Flint in Michigan and how she has a scientific mind. I talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I talk about a NASA astronaut, Leland Melvin, who played professional football, but also is an engineer and a mathematician. And it's about the book. The book talks about the process, but I try to, in the book, also recontextualize STEM or STEAM by introducing folks to these new people. And I think that that approach should be taken in the classroom as well. Deprogram, reprogram. Who told you you couldn't do it? Let me show you how you're already in. And I think that you know, people talk all the time about grit and resilience, and the urban kids are, you know, they don't want to put, kids put in work and effort into things that they love if they believe is part of who they are. There is grit that's a function of survival. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking to a young person whose parents literally came from across the border. They left everything they ever knew. Just think about this for a second. I left my family, my abuela, my grandfather, my stories, my legacies, my histories, because I believe that there's something greater on the other side. And leave everything and struggle and walk and move and that is resilience on a whole other level. If you tell a young person, listen, your ancestors were so resilient that they overcame laws. They overcame heartbreak. They overcame leaving their loved ones to show up here. You could do a math problem. You're the most resilient person there is. And do you see the joy on your grandma's face when they saw you graduate school? Well, you get a chance to have that same feeling of joy when you solve a math problem. And it's recontextualizing. Our outlook just has to shift. And so that's what I tried to get across in STEM, STEAM, Make, Dream. And, you know, I've written a lot of books. I love all my books for different reasons. But, you know, STEM, STEAM, Make, Dream, I really stepped out of my professor self for that book. I'm like, okay, Chris, like, we're not going to do all the words with 5,000 syllables. You know, we're not like, I'm going to talk about some theory, but not that heavy. I just want to make it plain for people. Like, just make it simple. I wanted to make it pretty. Give a box with a story. Put a page with a quote. Because I want people to understand that being an intellect and an academic and a theoretician and a practical teacher does not require you being hype. It just requires you having a good heart with good information. And in that book, I try to give good information.